Before we get going today, just a quick introduction for those who don't know PMC. We've been around now for quite a while, founded in 79. Done lots and lots of projects. In particular, we've been doing laser scanning for well over, or getting a little over 20 years, not well over 20 years, but 20 years now. And we've done projects of all sizes, anywhere, from a single scan project to projects that have 20,000 scans plus under one roof, to other mega projects that contain hundreds or thousands of individual sites. Over those years, we've grown. We have locations kind of speckled throughout the world at this point. We're headquartered out of Dearborn, Michigan, but we do work all over, certainly North America, as well as Latin America, Mexico, South America. And then we have our offices in India, and then some strategic partners to pick up areas like China and Europe where we don't have as local equipment. A little bit what we do. So we do, my group in particular does reality capture, and that covers things of all scale and sizes, everything from drone mapping down to micron level reverse engineering. We have dozens of different pieces of equipment that let us do that. And today we're going to be talking specifically about terrestrial laser scanning or building scale laser scanning. So the topics for today, I'm going to give you a quick introduction to what this whole YouScan idea is and how we're going to do it. And then I'll turn it over to Robert, who will cover the real nuts and bolts of the process of how we do it. And then we'll wrap up with some business concerns, pricing, insurance, those type of things. And then end. So we actually had this idea back in 2016, and the idea stems from the fact that the actual collection of laser scanning data has become very easy. Once a project is set up, once the scan locations are marked, running the physical piece of equipment is no longer complicated. You set it up, you secure it to its tripod, you turn it on, you put it in a particular location, and there's a large green button, and you push it. It'll then run the scan. When it's done, it beeps, you move it to the next location, hit the green button again. So that, combined with the fact that in some cases getting to sites was proving cost prohibitive, we have this idea to roll this out. At the time, like say back in 2016, we chose not to roll it out, but obviously things have changed that make this even more of a interesting proposition, we feel, today than it was back then. So yeah, the why. So the why is obviously today it's more difficult for us to get into different sites. Some places just have hard bans on outside contractors coming in. Other places it's just a matter of travel costs to get there. All right, so not all, and we'll talk, Robert especially will talk a little bit about this, but not all projects are going to be the right fit for this. This is going to be your smaller projects that are going to be a good fit. Yep, so there we go. So good fit, right up to about 50,000 square feet. We can make that work. Relatively simple spaces. You need to be somewhat technically competent to do this. So I wouldn't necessarily assign this to someone who's never used a piece of equipment before, someone who doesn't know how to maybe, put something together, those types of things. So it's a really bad fit for very large projects. Even though we're going to wrap up today and I'll talk a little bit about possible solutions for those. But in general, if you have a project that's 100,000 or more square feet, this is probably not going to be a good fit, just because those projects tend to get a lot more complicated, may involve traditional survey work, almost always are going to require targets and other things to help kind of pull everything together. In most cases, above ceiling work is going to be difficult, but we're not opposed to working with you on it if you have specific needs with that. And then high risk scanning. These are sites that are really complicated, dangerous. Maybe we're hanging a scanner upside down out of a window. We're not necessarily comfortable having someone else use our equipment in that manner. So those are really best left to us, where we've done these 100 times before. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Robert. As I'm in control of the presentation, Robert, so if you want to tell me when to move the slide, I'll take care of that.
Yeah, so how we'll get started with the YouScan plan is PMC will start gathering some information about your site by either a PDF floor plan or some sort of DWG. Now, we might ask for a video walkthrough or a series of photos that will help us better understand your site needs in some cases. PMC will then initiate a kickoff meeting with you to make sure you're clear at the project needs and goals. And once PMC understands those goals and needs, we can start to develop a tailored YouScan plan for your site. That'll include how many scan positions per feet and the resolution at which the scanner will be measuring data. PMC will review the scan plan with you and make sure it is clear and you are comfortable with executing it. And once we've agreed and signed off on that scan plan, we'll upload it to an iPad and prepare the scanning equipment for you. The scanner will then be shipped to you overnight or curbside delivery for local projects. And once you've received your equipment, it's pretty easy from there. You can unbox the gear, then follow the iPad's step-by-step instructions on how to properly set up and run the scanner. This will ensure a smooth experience. Included in the equipment box will be a paper PDF scan plan that you'll use to ensure that each scan position has been recorded and take any additional notes that are necessary, like obstructions in data, or just anything that happened, like if the scanner was bumped and you needed to write that down, that's a bad scan. That'd be a good place for that. And basically, once the scanning is completed, you'll box up the gear and ship it back to us with the provided shipping label. And now it's time for you to sit back and relax while PMC takes care of the rest. We'll start processing the data once we receive the equipment, and it'll be uploaded to the web upon completion of processing. And all projects include virtual tours and team sharing for up to 6 months. And then we're basically at our additional services from there, and we're able to take your project basically from there and do any sort of modeling, clash detection, construction verification, percent complete studies, floor flatness studies, fly-throughs, any sort of presentation, 3D point cloud fly-throughs, and anything from there.
Yeah, so like Robert was saying, the general idea here is that the complicated part of scanning over the years has become the office work. Again, assuming that the scan was done correctly and scans were taken in the correct positions, the challenge is really processing this data on the back end. It's huge data. You have to have the right computers to deal with it. You have to have the right software, and we can take care of all of that for you. Right, you just do the actual field scan. So real quick, I'll go into some business concerns on this. So insurance, this is a big one. You have to have insurance for the equipment. We're looking into a way around this right now that we could perhaps provide an insurance rider for you at a reasonable cost. However, that's a little tricky with rental equipment. Insurance companies don't seem to like that idea of essentially insuring someone they don't know. However, I think for most companies, this isn't totally out of the norm. You need insurance for any kind of expensive rental equipment. This is usually just a call to your typical insurance agent, explain to them what you're doing, that you need the insurance for a couple days. They'll issue a temporary certificate. You send that over to us and everything is fine. This should not be a major cost item. I know for us, when we used to rent more equipment, we'd be certainly under $100 for a week, usually in like the $25 to $20 range for a week of insurance on this equipment. But this is something that you need to take into account. If you haven't done this before, allocate, a little bit of time to sort this out. Maybe you need to figure out who at your company handles the insurance and how to get that, certificate over to us. So then we're going to talk a little bit. At PMC, we try to be as transparent as we can with cost. So especially in this service, there's going to be some flat fees that will apply. We're not necessarily bidding all of these jobs, uniquely. And it breaks down like this. Shipping, we're still working on that to get shipping at a reasonable price. It does require that we overnight the equipment and then it gets overnighted back to us. Any of you who have sent overnight shipments before know that that's not always the cheapest solution. but we're looking for ways to make that as reasonable as we can. Okay, so setup costs. So this will be a flat fee per project. So this covers what Robert was talking about with setting up all your field notes, getting the scan locations mapped out, all that goes into getting that project ready to go, getting the scanner configured, the project set up on the scanner, so that when you get our equipment, it arrives in a box and you don't have to do anything with the scanner except put it on the tripod and turn it on. You're not trying to set up projects on it. You don't need to know how any of the settings on the scanner work. All of that will be taken care of for you before you ever open the box. Okay, so now we have the day rate. This is essentially how much per day you're paying to have PMC's equipment. You can expect to get anywhere from 50 to 70 scans per day done. Give you a rough idea of the level we're talking about here. So this would just be a flat per day. Now we have the processing cost. This is for every day you have our scanner and you're doing scans, right? It's going to be 870 per day. Obviously, we're not going to charge you if you end up keeping our scanner for 5 days, but you only did 1 day of scanning. You're only going to get charged the $870, right? We understand that sometimes you need to schedule time to get on site, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. And then a fee for the backup and web share. This just covers our cost that's associated with hosting the web share and backing up these large data sets. And an important note here is we will maintain a backup of your data for at least 2 years. That's a guarantee. We'll have access to it. We can get it restored. So if you call us at 1 year and 11 months and you need your data back, we will have it. So here's a real breakdown, right? Okay, so you just have a simple 1,000 or 8,000-ish square foot project. You should be able to get that done in about a day, give or take, right? 5 to 8,000 should be reasonable. Okay, you're talking about $1,440 plus shipping, right? And what you're going to get is that 6 months of web share access with unlimited users and unlimited downloads. And for those who don't know, web share is a Faro product. It allows you through the web to have access to your data, and that access includes selecting an area of the point cloud to download directly. So if you just need to work on a particular room in a building or a particular piece of equipment in an industrial site, you can draw a rectangle around that and request those points, and you'll get an email in a few minutes with a direct download link to the point cloud. In addition to that, we're also going to give you your RCS files, and if you need pod files for doing industrial simulations, we'll get you those too. And they'll be broken down into reasonable areas. A smaller project like this, it's probably going to be a single file. As you get to bigger, we'll break it down to make it easier to work with. So when you get it. So for a standard, we're offering kind of two options here. Standard is going to take 5 business days. So that starts the day we get the scanner back. So if you ship it out Monday, we will have it back Tuesday and the clock will start. You'll get your data by the following Monday. Expedited, we'll have it to you in less than 2 business days. So mail it out on Monday. We get it Tuesday. You're going to have your data Wednesday. So another example, a 3-day project. So here's the breakdown. Total works out to $3,800 for 3 days of scanning. Okay, this should actually be higher than 10,000. You could probably do 20,000 or more square feet, 3 days. Depends on the size and the complexity, the room count. A lot of different things go into it. But here it's going to take us a little longer. You're going to get it in 6 business days, expedited 3 business days. So I don't know, if anyone on the call with us today, if you actually own a scanner or you have access to a scanner or a local rental shop to avoid shipping fees and you want to take that on your own, PMC will still process that data. You just need to upload it to us. We'll provide you with an upload location. And because you're uploading that data, we're not waiting for the scanner to come back. We can speed up the delivery a little bit. And it helps lower the cost a little bit because you're eliminating essentially our fee for the scanner. As I mentioned before, we're definitely open this is not meant to be a generic program where there's no flexibility. So if you have multiple sites, if you have a larger project, if you need long-term archiving of point cloud data and retrieval, maybe you're doing 50, 60 jobs a year, all this we can help you out with. If you just need data processing, if you are a skilled scanning operator and you want to do a 1,000,000 square foot building, but you don't have the time to process it, we'll talk with you. If we're comfortable that you know what you're doing, we will be happy to process that data. We have a huge processing farm at PMC and a lot of people we can throw at it to get this data done quickly and effectively, right? And any kind of large project support. We're even open to the idea if you have a larger project that maybe would require multiple people, we can send one person, you provide one person, we can provide the equipment, you can provide the equipment, but there's a lot of flexibility here that we're willing to work with you on, especially as we get to know you a little better.